A very important number was passed on to Congress last week. That number is shocking. It's 13,000. 13,000 unauthorized immigrants with murder convictions here and overseas are living in the United States. That's according to the latest data from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. These 13,000 unauthorized immigrants are part of ICE's non-detained docket, meaning the agency has some information on the immigrants and they have pending immigration cases in the United States. They are not currently in detention because they are perhaps not prioritized for that purpose. They may already be in federal or state prison, or perhaps ICE simply cannot find them.
That's cold comfort. A spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security said the data sent to Texas GOP Congressman Gonzalez is being misinterpreted. That's what CNN claimed. DHS also told CNN that the number 13,000 goes back at least 4 decades, long before the Biden administration was in place. It also seems like cold comfort. Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, "Under Kamala Harris, more than 13,099 convicted murderers crossed our borders and were set free into the United States of America, so they're free to kill again," unquote. Continuing with his rhetoric, Trump wrote, quote, "But the incredible thing is that the fake news media does everything possible not to pick this story up."
Woo! We are back, and we are black. Yes, we are. Here on WLTH 1370 AM. It is 6:45 in the PM on October the 11th, 2024. The future is here. The future is now. And the future's looking pretty grim, folks. As you heard in the video, more than 13,000 non-detained illegal immigrants with homicide convictions are roaming around the country. That's right. As of July 21st, 2024, ICE reported that 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories are on its national docket, which includes detained and non-detained individuals. Out of these, 435,719 of them are convicted criminals, while 226,847 have pending criminal charges. That's right. That's right. So that is more than 660,000 criminal foreign nationals who have been identified to be deported by the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement, who are living freely in communities nationwide. I got to give all props and respect to the Baltimore Sun, who are the ones who dug in and got this story out there. I didn't see it anywhere else. I'm pretty shocked. I was pretty shocked that I really did not see this really anywhere. I didn't see this story really presented anywhere. So I knew I had to do this one. Now, among these criminals are those convicted or charged with violent crimes, including homicide, sexual assault, and kidnapping, according to the information released in response to a congressional request. Now, ICE was requested to provide information about the number of non-citizens on its docket for removal who are convicted or charged with a crime. As of July 21st, 2024, there were some 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories on their national docket. Now, an additional 60,268 are on the list for burglary, larceny, or robbery. 126,343 are there for traffic offenses, including driving under the influence, and 16,820 are there for weapons offenses. That's, of course, on top of the 14,914 that have been charged with homicide, 20,061 who've been charged with sexual assault, the 105,146 that have been charged with assault, the 3,372 that have been charged with kidnapping, and the 3,971 that have been charged with sex trafficking. Oh boy. Whoa boy. Man. Now, ICE's national docket refers to the illegal foreign nationals who were apprehended by Border Patrol agents who then turned them over to ICE. Despite having a confirmed documented criminal history, ICE released them into the United States. Yep. Yes. Yes. Because of local jurisdictions refusing to cooperate with ICE, the agency lifted detainers for 24,796 known criminals and released them into the United States. Yes. Yep. There you go. Now, this data is from October the 1st, 2020 through July 22nd, 2024. Amongst them, state and local law enforcement agencies refused to comply with 23,591 detainer requests. 1,205 detainer requests were lifted due to insufficient notice to ICE. Also during this period, ICE enforcement and removal operations issued 2,897 detainers that were declined by state or local law enforcement agencies, even after the subject of the detainer request had a subsequent apprehension by ICE ERO, according to the report. More than 387,000 criminal non-citizens were arrested by ICE ERO agents in the fiscal years 2021 through 2023. The Center Square first reported. Now, the majority of these arrested people were citizens of Mexico, Nicaragua, Colombia, and Venezuela. The majority of these arrests happened in Dallas and Houston, Texas. That's it. Just those two cities, Dallas and Houston, Texas. According to an ICE online statistical dashboard, the most common arrests are those convicted of DUIs, drug possession, and assault, and criminal non-civil traffic offenses like hit and run or leaving the scene of an accident, ICE says. Additionally, a separate data point shows that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and Border Patrol apprehensions of criminal non-citizens totaled nearly 54,000 since the fiscal year 2021, according to CBP data as of September the 16th. The majority were for illegal entry and re-entry and DUIs. So, folks, this is where we are. This is where we are. I just told you they are purposely allowing this to happen, particularly with young men of fighting age, because the military-industrial complex is not meeting the quotas of strong, able-bodied American men anymore. And so I guess their plan is to, on some level, fill our military with non-citizens, to use the other ones for cheap labor, to replace black Americans, replace, I guess, native-born Hispanics who were, American citizens who therefore have rights and have demands as American citizens, to replace poor whites. We see in places like Springfield, Ohio, where, conservatives are talking about them eating the cats. Oh, they're eating the cats and dogs. They're eating the cats and dogs. But the real story is that they brought all those Haitians there because they are cheap labor. They are cheap labor. That is what they're there for. To undercut American citizens' wages. And this has always been the case. This isn't something that's new. Cesar Chavez talked about this many years ago. One of my heroes, Cesar Chavez. And the horrible thing is that liberals, particularly liberals, use people coming out against this as racist. They accuse the people who say, oh my God, this is awful, that you are filling our cities with all these people from Mexico, Nicaragua, Colombia, and Venezuela, and Haiti. And they say, you're a racist if you oppose American workers being basically undercut so that the capitalists can have cheap labor. And this is what Cesar Chavez had to say about it way back in the 60s.
The Mexican government to bring the Bracero program again. It's a vicious attack on the local worker, and it's just one of those things that agribusiness thinks they can get away with it. And our job is to inform the whole country what's happening together with a boycott and solve it that way. And so the workers themselves, even though a lot of them are Mexican descendancy themselves, are very uptight and very, very worried and very mad about the illegals coming to break their strikes, and it takes away their jobs, their livelihood, and so forth.
Does that put you in an uncomfortable position to be against the illegal immigrants because they are from Mexico? In other words, part of your program has been an appeal to equal treatment of people of Mexican origin, right?
Oh yeah, sure, but we're speaking of the legal ones. You know, we don't want Mexico to export its poverty to us, and then we pay. It's not the agriculture, it's not society in general, it's a farm worker again paying for those sins, you know. And Mexico should take the initiative and stop exporting the poverty to us. They should do something about the rural economy over there. And then see, it's a way of breaking the strike, it's a way of demoralizing the farm workers. And for instance, the workers are going to ask for stamps, for food stamps. They're lining up the offices for welfare, and they're being told, we can't give you a job because there are plenty of jobs. And the workers say, well, there aren't any jobs. We just came from the fields, they won't hire us, or they just laid us off because either because we're strikers, or because we're members of the union, or because the Braceros, the illegals will do the job for half the money we're getting.
There you go. There you go. Greatest Hispanic labor leader this country ever had, Mr. Cesar Chavez, calling it like it was back in the 60s. It's about wages, driving down wages for American workers, permanently destroying any leverage that American workers will have ever. And it's about filling our military with people who are willing to die to be American citizens. Again, I'm not mad at the immigrants. I don't hate the immigrants. God bless them. You know, I wish our government didn't have such a destructive foreign policy in Latin America. That's one of the things that I've always been very critical of this government for, is destroying, overthrowing governments throughout Latin America, throughout Africa, throughout the Middle East. A lot of this is blowback from the CIA. And so I've never blamed the immigrants themselves. I got no problems with them. But I don't have to support my people who built this country through hundreds of years of slave labor, through Jim Crow, through sharecropping, and continue to be treated as second-class citizens in many ways to this day, being replaced and being disrespected once again. I do not and will not support that. And any politicians who do support this, they're not getting my vote. It is that simple. All right, folks. It's almost 7 o'clock in the Gary Hour. Coming up, we are going to get into the saga of Jerome Prince and Lake County corruption in general. But first, it's time for the Happy Happies. We'll be right back after these.